I don't know about you, but I need a pre-raid checklist. How many times have you loaded in and realised you don't have a Salewa? Or get into a fight and realise you're still on single fire? There's a lot to remember that you might think is second nature when preparing for a raid, but we all forget things from time to time, right? I'm Gaz, welcome to the channel. This checklist will cover everything you should check before clicking ready, and some stuff after. If I miss anything, or you have a different routine, let me know in the comments below. I look forward to seeing how our preparation differs. Alright, so we're in the stash and we're about to jump into a raid. Kicking it off with the obvious, number 1, make sure your weapons are equipped, you have spare magazines if required, as well as spare ammo in your secure container. As a small addition to this one, if you're used to a particular optic or tactical device, now is the time to check that your weapons are modded to your liking. Loading into a raid without spare mags happens to the best of us, but is a worse occurrence than some of the others in this list, as once you've used up your ammo in your starting mag, you'll be resorting to weapons you find, either at weapon spawns or janky broken ones on scavs. This will effectively push you to extract much sooner than you might like. At number 2, it's medical supplies. This differs from person to person, but for me, my usual med loadout looks like this. One Salewa or AFAC in my rig, and an alu splint, ibuprofen, a hemostat and a CMS kit in my gamma container. You may choose, depending on things like the size of your secure container, to load in with AI2s, bandages and other items, or you might go further than me and take in some stims too. Take a mental note, or better yet, write it on a sticky note and stick it to your monitor so you remember to replenish each item. On the subject of replenishing, make sure there are enough uses on your meds to last you the whole raid. The amount of times I've kicked myself for loading in with a 1 out of 5 CMS, then blacking 2 limbs does not bear thinking about. Hopefully you won't need to use these meds too much though, especially if you take note of number 3, which is to check which armors you are taking in with you, and for goodness sake make sure they are repaired. Any damage to armor reduces its maximum durability. When an armor piece takes a battering, rounds are going to have a much easier job penetrating, meaning you'll die a lot faster. On the other side of the coin, when you leave a raid and repair a badly damaged armor piece, depending on the materials it's made from and the amount of damage it's taken, it might be worth selling up and buying a fresh piece. There are plenty of videos covering in-depth armor mechanics, but the long and short of it is, if you repair a trooper for example, down from 85 out of 85 to 45 out of 45, you're not restoring it to its full class 4 durability. In actual fact, the trooper is now likely to act more like a class 3 armor and will fail to stop much of anything at all. Moral of the story here is, take in fresh or well repaired armor, it will keep you alive longer. That's the equipment sorted, but if you're raiding to complete specific tasks, don't forget to take in things like jammers, markers and cameras. There's a simple equation on how much these items cost and where you should put them. For example, markers can be purchased from Prapor for 15,000 rubles. This means that, where possible, you should try and place these in your secure container if you have meds or ammo that is worth less than 15,000, as these are not required to be found in raid to complete said quests. If you're finding value in this video, a like rating would be greatly appreciated. We're nearly there, just a couple more things to consider before readying up. If you're like me, you like hitting safes and filing cabinets wherever you find them. And where do you put things like flash drives and bitcoins? That's right, your docs or SICC case. I'm so often caught out when loading into a fresh raid only to discover an expensive key or other valuable items that I've accidentally both insured and bought into a new raid with me. While you should be checking this after leaving a raid, it never hurts to add this one to the checklist to make doubly sure you aren't missing out on hundreds of thousands of rubles you could be earning by selling an item with the found in raid tag. And to add to this, remember, especially if you like to switch it up and change locations quite frequently through the course of a play session, either swap the keys from your docs case or change your docs cases completely so you don't miss out on hitting lock rooms on Shoreline by loading in with your customs keys. It's easily done and super frustrating. The final point before heading into a raid is to make sure you have either fully healed in your stash or in the post-raid treatment screen, or have brought enough meds in with you to heal in raid immediately if you're trying to level skills. The same here goes for energy and hydration, which is another one I'm guilty of neglecting from time to time. We've completed our out of raid checklist, but there are still a few things we need to check in raid, ideally before getting into any firefights or engagements. I'll rattle these off quickfire as I think they're pretty self-explanatory. Firstly, check that your weapon is on the correct fire mode. You don't want to hold mouse 1 expecting to hose an enemy down with a vector, only to fire a single shot. Ensure any tactical devices on your weapons are set up to your preferences. I usually use the Glock GTL, which has the ability to be a flashlight and a laser, or both at the same time. My preferred starting point with this device is just a laser sight, and I change to laser and flashlight in close quarters dark environments. If you're using a helmet with a visor, for Pete's sake make sure it's in the correct position so it's actually more than just a sun shield. And finally, make sure your sights are calibrated how you want them. For example, I prefer to use shorter zooms on my scopes unless I catch an enemy out the corner of my eye, at which point I'll switch to a longer zoom scope to engage them. And that's it, you're ready to roll through your raids, safe in the knowledge that you've ticked every box and you're as ready as you can be. If I've missed anything from this list, let me know and help others out in the comments below. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.